Hi, welcome back. I'm glad you could join me today. You ready to do a fantastic little painting?
You must have seen digital artists on YouTube like Steve or folks from Corridor Crew doing 3D challenges where they recreate Bob Ross's paintings in 3D. And honestly, they came up with some really cool and impressive renders. I mean, look at this. It's beautiful and probably my favorite render from Steve. Good job, man. So, I've been thinking to recreate paintings of famous artists in 3D, and I guess Bob's gonna be the first one of the series. I chose this painting of Bob to recreate because, of course, it's beautiful and also it doesn't have enough details so my lappy can also handle a scene like this. I was kidding, it's still heavy. Coming to the point, first of all, I worked on the mountain. I spent a few hours on making the mountain and it turned out looking like this. I didn't use any HDRI to light the scene up. I used the sky texture from Blender and made the clouds by myself procedurally. Creating a cloudy sky in Blender is pretty easy. You just need a cube, scale it very big and place it very high up, and then connect the volume scatter node to the material output in the shader editor. Then add a noise texture, add a color ramp in between, and make it to constant. Hit Ctrl T on the noise texture. If you have the node wrangler on, set the type to texture, connect the object to vector and play with the values. You've got a decent cloudy sky which you can animate. Creating a water shader is the easiest. You just have to zero down the roughness and crank the transmission value to 1 and use a bump node and a noise texture node. That's it, easy peasy. But to add some extra mad details which won't be even visible half of the time in the final render, I used this whole node setup. Using a cube as our water plane, doing the same and using the previous method, we'll add principal volume node and whatnot. I'll put this screenshot on the screen and you can check it out. After that, it was all just placing the assets here and there, adding planes for the foreground, putting assets on that, scattering grass, adding rocks and all. I use botanic add-on for all the vegetation in my every project. I'll play it all in the time lapse here. It was all just setting the scene up and me trying to make the scene look as similar as possible to the actual painting. And while all that, I realized making it for just a frame won't be good enough. So I thought to give the camera a little dolly animation over around 350 frames, and the scene got pretty heavy by that time, so I had to ask my friend for help in rendering the whole animation for me. And because of all that transfer and all, I somehow forgot to set the correct value for the water animation, and the animation on vegetation wasn't even added. And after 6 hours of rendering without me realizing, this is what I got. I hate it when it happens. Well, again, after correcting everything and spending 6 more hours on rendering, here is the final result.